Hook has a 28-1 career record.
In 2019, AEW started off as the hottest wrestling company in the world, but has now cooled off as it begins year 5. To quote Jay-Z's Takeover, AEW had a spark when it started, but now it's just garbage.
I'm serious. I'm not going to sit back and take this fucking shit.
AEW was no different from Monday Nitro. In fact, the two promotions have the exact same dynamics and trajectory, for better or worse. Both came out at a time when WWE was a cold product. Both came at a time when wrestling fans needed something different. Both were backed by billionaires who signed big-name former WWE talent to start the company and air it on the Turner networks. Unfortunately, both ultimately struggled to sell tickets to their live shows, and their ratings faltered once WWE caught fire and reestablished themselves as the #1 wrestling promotion.
Yeet! Let's just calm down now.
This is not me. I'm fighting for my life.
Watching the Royal Rumble this weekend made me realize just how many former AEW stars whom AEW fumbled the bag with. All of whom came off as bigger stars in WWE. Jade Cargill, Cody Rhodes, CM Punk, Andrade El Idolo, who admittedly may or may not pan out in his second run. Even over in NXT, Lexis King is steadily emerging as one of the biggest stars on that roster. AEW knows how to put on great wrestling shows for wrestling fans, but as disgraced former WWE chairman Vince McMahon once said, AEW is not in the wrestling business.
Y'all killing me with this. I gave y'all 30 years of my career.
Tony.
30 years of my career.
It's in the entertainment business, which means they have to put on the best possible television show. One with compelling storylines that lead to great matches, which will mean so much more the more there's something at stake. There's a real perception problem in AEW. A die-hard faction of wrestling fans will watch it on TV and pay-per-view, but they won't necessarily go out of their way to attend the product unless it's must-see. Problem is, must-see content on AEW only airs on Dynamite and pay-per-view. Rampage and Collision are C shows.
That one there was a violation. Personally, I wouldn't have it.
And in the wrestling business, shedding the perception of being a C show is one of the most difficult things to do, especially in a B company.
Y'all trying to kill me? You're killing me, man. You don't want to believe the truth. You don't want to believe it.
AEW's perception problem isn't helped by the tribal edgelords who celebrate Tony Khan while scaring off all the women. Guys like Trevor Dame, who spends all his time on Twitter, has fired off almost 50,000 tweets with less than 20,000 followers to show for it, and judges people by, he judges people by their engagement. No, not the get down on one knee engagement that big lame Dame probably wants with Tony Khan, like how many likes and follows they get. Things that I call virgin stats. It's all good. As hot as I am in the wrestling media, I judge people by their engagement too if I didn't know what true love felt like. This man jumps on the Broke Person's Bird app and finds value in a place where he never shows his face. Like ever. Probably because we'd recognize it from a Megan's Law website. Otherwise, he's just an avatar who tweets for hearts and emojis. For all we know, Dame might be Bix's burner account. Imagine, if you will, an African troglodyte who mortgaged his dignity to besmirch the upstanding reputation of Anthony Rafiq Khan. He likes tweeting out all these big words because he's not allowed within 100 yards of little words. He wants you to think he's educated, but I see right through him. At best, this man has a GED because who the hell is going to trust Dame to finish high school without shooting at it? No wonder he stays on Twitter sending out over 50,000 tweets. Nobody would ever date him in real life, so tweeting about wrestling all day is the only way he'll ever have a type.
Jesus Christ.
Mind you, Big Trev needs to tweet 50,000 times to get people to care about his opinion. But then you go on YouTube and you have to have an actual personality to keep people's attention, and just look at all this engagement. Shit, if people were judged by YouTube engagement, this motherfucker would be divorced. Listen, if I have a problem with somebody, I'm not gonna sit on a Bird app and tweet them to death. Where at the end of the day, I've seen no material gains outside of the arthritis in my fingers. I'll just go out in real life on some sandy beach in California. I'll jot down some shit, maybe a joke or two, it's not that serious, and then I'll come home and have some fun with it on my growing YouTube channel. Much as I do like Twitter, there's no money on Twitter. But there's a lot of money, and friends of course, I love you guys, here on YouTube. I have sponsors with this app, and get this, I can show my face. Oh shit, that reminds me. I gotta do a spot.
And now a quick word with our partner, Mint Mobile. Mint Mobile has way too many different benefits to name in one sitting. That's why they're all just floating around here. Like how it's as low as $15 a month. And they keep those costs so low because they cut out the middleman. Sorry to burst your bubble, middleman. Oh shit, that was hot! God, why did that burn? It gave me a fucking blister. I don't understand. Oh! Don't get burned by your wireless bill.
As part of a limited time offer, from now through the end of January, new customers can get any plan for just $15 a month when they purchase 3 months or more. This includes the unlimited plan, which is normally $30 a month.
Mint Mobile has lightning quick 5G that runs on the nation's largest 5G network, and it's easy to activate with digital eSIM cards. Don't have an eSIM card? Mint Mobile will ship you a new SIM card for free. This is a great offer, so get it while it's hot. Okay, let's do one more take, but this time no fucking bubbles.
AEW struggles to follow up on characters and storylines. The promotion is filled with diamonds in the rough, but time and again it has trained its audience that these guys are finna disappear from television sooner rather than later. Hook had a great showing against Samoa Joe, but AEW seems likely to move on from him already. Remember the Book of Hobbs and those great vignettes? That was actually some compelling shit. But AEW dropped that story and fumbled the bag, came back to Hobbs, who squashed Chris Jericho, and then abandoned him all over again. They did the same exact thing with Action Andrade, who beat Chris Jericho as a quote-unquote jobber, only to be banished to a lukewarm trios with the once hot top flight. I can go on and on and on with examples like Keith Lee, and even Jamie Hayter. Yes, Hayter is hurt, but she should be healed by now. And AEW's women's division is starving for some star power. Britt Baker, anybody?
Nah, I'm good.
At one point, the Acclaimed was the hottest act in all of wrestling and sold merch like crazy. Then AEW just beat them out of nowhere with the guns and yeeted them to a trios division that doesn't matter. Jack Perry, one of AEW's pillars by the way, as Jungle Boy, was suspended in August for the fight with CM Punk, and nobody's seen him in an AEW ring since. Now he's toiling around doing a hackneyed storyline where he's some renegade in New Japan Pro Wrestling? Bruh, I'd be so nervous for my career if I was Jack Perry right now. Like, what's happening with this company? Sasha Banks and Kazuchika Okada can't come soon enough. But if they do, who really thinks that's gonna turn things around given AEW's current infrastructure in the middle of WrestleMania season, no less? AEW doesn't have any writers, and it shows. A lot of people criticize WWE's writing and over-scripting, but the fact that WWE is scripted was never the problem with the promotion. People soured on WWE for a while because it was scripted by an out-of-touch old man in his 70s, one who couldn't connect with the modern-day fan and didn't care to. Now that Triple H is in charge, WWE is still scripted, but the talent have more freedom to perform. Meanwhile, in AEW, talent has too much freedom to perform, even those who don't know how to perform. So much so, AEW doesn't dictate who's a babyface and who's a heel as much as they just let the fans decide. Yeah, the Blackpool Combat Club should be heels, but our storylines are so weak that won't come across to the general public, and they'll just decide whom to cheer for based on their wrestling. Yeah, Samoa Joe should be a heel world champion, but that doesn't really come across through his wrestling. So AEW's middle-aged fan base is just gonna cheer Joe like he's a babyface. WWE is commanding every national wrestling headline these days, again, for better or worse. Landing Netflix deals, and now dealing with a nationally covered sexual misconduct scandal for the better part of 2 years now. WWE is at the center of the wrestling world, and AEW feels more like it's in the corner of the wrestling world, just waiting for its chance. Waiting for its chance to strike whenever the iron gets hot again. Just look at some of the stars AEW is bringing in these days. In 2019, at the start of the company, AEW felt like the place every wrestler wanted to go. They landed Keith Lee when he was red hot, Jon Moxley, Chris Jericho, Adam Cole, baby. AEW was straight up dominating WWE in these bidding wars. But now that contracts are starting to come due in AEW, some of these top names are going to WWE. Many former AEW stars were featured in both the men's and women's Royal Rumble, and many of them felt larger than life. Hell, Cody Rhodes, the man who made the TNT Championship, won his second Royal Rumble back-to-back and is now headed to WrestleMania 40 to unlock the biggest victory there is in this industry, dethroning Roman Reigns. Let's go, Cody!
Yeet!
CM Punk, probably the biggest star in AEW history, is likely to headline night one of WrestleMania against Seth Rollins. AEW might wake up one day and find out that it's just the company that wrestlers go to either to cash a pension check or prove themselves to WWE. Like another version of NXT. More concerning than anything else is AEW's current struggles with ticket sales. AEW has 3 shows on national TV: Dynamite, Rampage, and Collision. On top of all that, Tony Khan bought himself a whole-ass wrestling company in the form of ROH. Sadly, there's nothing innovative about ROH, or for that matter, any show outside of Dynamite. They're all just watered-down versions of Dynamite. AEW honorary press secretary Dave Meltzer recently reported on AEW's weak advances, which was once able to fill seats through buy one, get one free offers. For whatever reason, AEW stopped doing this, and it has led to frightening attendance numbers in every market except Greensboro, where Sting is retiring, and London, where AEW will have its annual All-In event in Wembley Stadium. Here are some of the live attendance numbers for future AEW shows as of this writing. Dynamite in Huntsville, Alabama at the end of February has only sold just over 1,200 tickets in an arena that could hold 7,000. Sub 3,000 tickets are quickly becoming the norm, and while AEW has no creativity writing its storylines, it's had no choice but to get creative with camera angles that hide empty parts of these arenas. The Dynamite crowd in North Charleston, South Carolina for Samoa Joe vs. Hook was the smallest AEW audience outside of Daly's Place. And while the TV ratings continue to hold up to some degree, pro wrestling attendance is the lifeblood of this business, and it'll tell you everything you need to know about the product. Low attendance means low interest, and the more people see empty seats on TV, the more they'll associate the product with an empty vision. To be honest, WWE signing with Netflix is actually good news for AEW. But the longer AEW goes without re-signing with Warner Brothers Discovery, the more nervous it should make Tony Khan. Hopefully the two sides come to a deal. But WBD might be looking at WWE and the wrestling business at large and either thinking, we failed to get the #1 company, so what's the point? Or, goddamn, this wrestling business is skeevy, let's just re-up with the NBA so we can shut up and dribble. So, in summary, here's what AEW has trained its fans to do over the past 5 years. Don't take any of these wrestlers too seriously if they get a big push up front. AEW will just forget about them or fail to follow up. If somebody becomes a big enough star in AEW, they'll just eventually go to WWE where they can make that Netflix money. AEW Dynamite and pay-per-view are the only shows that matter. Rampage and Collision are there, but they're only for people who like wrestling from a secondary promotion, like a second-rate Sunday Night Heat. Get it? Got it. Break.
Y'all trying to kill me? You're killing me, man!
Check out this Royal Rumble playlist and subscribe. Is there any saving AEW? How long will this decline last? Tell me in the comments!